Do you know there's over 100 Bible references to herbs and spices? In fact, if you add oils, there's about 600 of them. And the first two presents for Christmas were herbs. Frankincense and myrrh, right? So there are different types of ways to use herbs. Some you can use as teas, you can use capsules, you can use extracts, you can use topical applications, creams, salves. There is many different forms, but I prefer to use teas and extracts because they are easily assimilated. They have about a 98% absorption rate, and so this is the way to go. I love making teas. It's just so pretty to see the color coming into the water. It's just now the difference between a tincture and an extract is that a tincture technically is alcohol based, so we don't use any alcohol. The alcohol they use for a tincture is from GMO corn. It's from vodka, and it's 80 to 180% proof alcohol. Yeah, so you take 1 tablespoon of that, that's equivalent to a can of beer, and you can knock grandma off a rocking chair very easily if you give her a tincture. So just, yeah, don't get tinctures. You don't want to get alcohol. And they pull out toxic alkaloids out of the plant, and they destroy the phytochemistry of the plant. It will actually sterilize the plant. So, you know, it will destroy the medicinal properties. You can take the powder, but just keep in mind if you do take the powder, you're better off using it at mealtime, because that's the only way you can get those properties out is through acid. Okay, so you don't have a tea kettle in your stomach, so the body has to pull those properties out through acid. So berries. Berries. Anyone try berries? Yeah. Berries, bark, roots, they last about 3 to 5 years, depending if they're powder form or if they're in a liquid form. These are some ones you want to stay away so much from. Cloves are very powerful. They do have control over helping sugar levels and immune, but they have eugenol in there that can affect the central nervous system, and it is a little bit toxic, so don't take too many cloves. Mushrooms, there are 3,000 different types of mushrooms. There's about 700 edible mushrooms. There's a few dozen good medicinal mushrooms. If you ever take a mushroom, just make sure you know that mushroom 110% sure. Okay, nutmeg. Nutmeg is toxic. Okay, so nutmeg has a toxic alkaloid called miracetin, and it suppresses the central nervous system. It can create hallucinogenic effects over 5 grams, so be careful of taking nutmeg. However, that being said, you can get a seed of nutmeg if you have facial paralysis, and it will help recover from facial paralysis. If you put a nutmeg seed and clench it in the back of your mouth and just let the saliva mix with it, you can overcome. I know of 3 people this has happened with. Okay, and they had a stroke, and they took nutmeg, and in a short amount of time, their paralysis went away. So avoid your black and white peppers. Your black pepper that's a stomach irritant that you buy in the store. Cinnamon's another one. You can use Ceylon instead of cassia. Ceylon is not so irritating to the digestive tract as cassia. We talked about green tea before. So here, let's go to some of the benefits. Rhodiola is a really good herb to use. It's an adaptogen, and it's very good for energy, and it's very good for the adrenals. It's very good for the thyroid. It's very good for stimulating your brain. Actually, it's good for athletes. Use rhodiola. It's good for mental stress as well, and it helps in the recovery. So if you do a lot of muscle training, rhodiola is a good one to take. We have red clover. I saw some yesterday actually, coming up this way. red clover is prevalent actually in the United States. It's very common, and it's got high amounts of isoflavones, so it protects against cancer. If you want something to help protect against cancer, I don't know many other herbs that can be so effective in that than red clover. In fact, red clover was used by Ellen White, and this was her favorite tea, and she used it for medicinal properties. And red clover is very good for the blood, cleanses the blood, and it's high in phytochemistry. It's a good source of certain vitamins and minerals. It's very good as a help with estrogen-like cancers, because what it does is helps protect against fake estrogens. So there's a lot of bad estrogens out there, such as O-estrogens, xenoestrogens. These, if you heat these plastics up, for example, and put them in the sun, they have estrogen mimickers in the plastic that goes in the water, and we have endocrine disruptor. This is very common. Do you know from 1973, I think it is, to 2018, we had a reduction in sperm count worldwide, 62.3%. And we had a reduction in sperm motility over 50%. And this is happening in the animals as well as the people. So there's less and less people able to have children now because of the endocrine disruptors. Yeah, this is a serious problem. So red clover helps protect against that. And the isoflavones are converted in the body to what we call brain-derived neurotrophic factors that increase synaptic sprouting of the dendrites of the brain. So even when you're in your old age, in your 90s or 100, you can still use these substances like from red clover to help improve brain function. So it's amazing. If we all lived long enough, we'd all die from Alzheimer's. It's true. Yes, if we lived long enough, we'd all die from Alzheimer's. So, why is that? Because the brain deteriorates. Yes. Unless we have access to the tree of life. Speaking of which, this is the closest thing we have to the tree of life on earth. Anyone know what it is? Stinging nettle, that's right. Nettle, very good for us. This is #1 herb for allergies. It can also help lower blood pressure, blood sugar. It can help with prostate, hyperplasia of the prostate. It can help with arthritis, actually. You can get a leaf. It's got little serrated barbs at the end, these little hypodermic needles. And it's got serotonin in there, it's got acetylcholine in there, it's got formic acid in there. And you put it on your knee, brush it, and it will sting you a little bit, but it will take away the pain for your arthritis. Yeah. Now, if you get it on your hands and it stings you, you get the leaf and make it into a tea, and it will take away the sting. It will take away the rash it caused you. Yeah, it's amazing. It's high in vitamin A. It's got B, C, D, E, K, and P. It's also one of the high sources of plant protein and iron. It's what we call tropho-restorative, meaning it helps every body system. It's very good for anemia, especially for ladies. And you can use this in pregnancy. This is very good for the bladder and kidneys as well. It's very high in certain electrolytes like potassium. It's a good source of magnesium. Of course, all green leafy vegetables are high in magnesium, and which is often what we're lacking today. And that's why we get things like stomach cramps and leg cramps, and we have heart issues and things like that because we're not getting enough electrolytes. We have milk thistle. Milk thistle is excellent for liver. And as I mentioned before, the liver detoxes itself, but milk thistle helps protect the liver. And it also is very good for helping with inflammation of the liver. And if you've taken any poisonous mushrooms, this is the only thing that will save your life, is milk thistle seed IV. It's an IV that they give you in the hospital, and it will basically detoxify the mushrooms, the poison in the mushrooms. And so milk thistle is very good for people with fatty liver. So over 100 million people in the United States have fatty liver. Did you know that? And we don't know it. If you're obese, you have an 85% chance that you have fatty liver. If you're diabetic, you have about the same percent chance that you have fatty liver. So it's usually caused through excess refined carbohydrates. Excess refined carbohydrates. So just keep that in mind. Oat straw. This is one I mentioned before that my wife took. It's a nervine. It's very good for helping the nervous system. Anyone that wakes up in the morning, can't get back to sleep, try oat straw. It's very good for that. And it helps with the bones as well. It has a calming effect. It's good for depression. It's good for anxiety. It's good. It's good for panic attacks. It's good for ADHD. Our son used to, he used to be so hyperactive when he was younger, and he would be bouncing off the walls. So we'd give him oat straw. And a few minutes later, I said, John, you're not bouncing off the walls anymore. But the oat straw has a very calming effect. And we've actually used this for seizures as well. I had a mother that called me one time. She had a 4-year-old son that had grand mal seizures every single day. And so I asked her a few questions. I realized it was a stress-induced seizure. So I said, take some oat straw. From the first time he took oat straw, never had one more seizure after that, because it's very good for stress. I could tell you lots of stories. This is Camu. Anyone heard of Camu or Camu? This is high in vitamin C. So you can get more vitamin C from a teaspoon of Camu powder than a whole bag of oranges. This comes from a tropical fruit from the Amazon, not online Amazon. Although you can buy it from Amazon. Yeah, but it's from the tropical Amazon jungle, okay? Amazon jungle. So this is where it comes from. And very good repairing damaged tissue, because we're actually held together through vitamin C. Did you know that? That's why when they had scurvy, their tissues would dissolve. Vitamin C keeps it together, keeps that connective tissue together. And, I remember having an ulcer in my mouth, and I thought, let me try some Camu. I put some Camu there, and in 2 hours, it was repaired. Didn't have any more problems. Yeah, just that Camu. Vitamin C. Don't get vitamin C from the store. It's usually from GMO corn. And get it from Camu. Yeah, it's much healthier for you. And turmeric. Turmeric is the best anti-inflammatory herb you can take. And it's an excellent herb for chronic disease. Anything with itis on the end, just think of turmeric root. It's amazing stuff. This has had more studies than any other herb on the planet it's been studied more than any other medicine on the planet. Over 6,000 clinical studies done on this herb. Some people think there's not really science to back up herbs. There's more studies done on herbs than even on drug medication. In fact, most of the herbs I'm showing you have thousands of studies, if not hundreds of studies done on them. Cayenne. If you're going to have one herb for emergency, think of cayenne. You can bring someone back from the dead with cayenne. We've seen it save lives, honestly. I was on the phone not so long ago. This lady called me. She said, I remember hearing you talk about cayenne. She said, I had a heart attack, and I took some cayenne extract, And by the time the paramedics arrived, I didn't need their services. And yeah, there's a lot of testimonies. You go online and listen to lots of testimonies, people that saved their lives through taking cayenne. This is a really good one because it quickens the circulation, and you can take cayenne with pretty much any herb. It will help facilitate better utilization of the herb because it speeds up blood supply, it increases oxygenation in the body, it causes the blood to move more rapidly. If you want to bring healing to any part of the body, just increase blood flow. That's what we have to do, because the life is in the blood. And the way the body heals is always the same. It's through the blood. So if you have stagnant blood, sticky blood, polluted blood, trapped blood, it's not going to heal so fast. So using cayenne is a way to keep that working. Yes, ma'am. You can use it in powder, but you don't want to use powder alone because it will asphyxiate you. You'll have bronchial spasms if you put that in your mouth. So be respectful for cayenne, just don't put it in your eyes, up your nose, or don't use cayenne soap. Okay. I remember one time I was flying to Japan from America, and it was a 13-hour flight. I had cold feet. In the last 2 hours of the flight, my feet were getting cold, and I thought, I have a cayenne salve, let me warm them up. So I used some salve and rubbed it on my foot, bottom of my foot, and I didn't feel anything for 20 minutes. So I thought, oh, maybe I didn't put enough on. So I went back, I put some more on. I didn't feel anything for another 20 minutes. I thought, maybe it's old. Let me put some more on. So I put some more on. more on, yeah. and I didn't feel a thing till I started walking. So here's the thing with cayenne, you won't feel it burn if you don't sweat. So the oil activates the heat properties. And so I was walking through the airport, and I said, honey, my feet are warm. I said, honey, my feet are hot. Honey, I'm firewalking. So I had my foot up in the Narita airport water fountain, trying to cool them down, And the next day, my skin on my feet were taken off. So be careful of cayenne. Yeah, be respectful. It can burn. It can burn, especially if you use it with you're sweating. Yes?
How did the lady that you mentioned earlier, how did she...
Oh, she took that internally as an extract.
Just like...
Yeah.
Like eating a pepper?
No, extract. It's a liquid extract.
Oh, liquid.
Yeah. So, even when people are having heart attacks, usually they can swallow and they're conscious. So as long as you know what's going on, you can help them. So, yeah, they may not like it at the time, but they'll thank you for it later, I'm telling you. In fact, paramedics use cayenne as well. It will stop a hemorrhage. If you cut your arm off, in fact, that's how paramedics started using it. There was a gentleman, his arm was severed, and his friend knew about cayenne, so he dosed it with cayenne. And they berated him when they came in, and they just swore at the guy. And they took this injured man off, and they rang up his friend later and said, we just want to apologize, you saved his life. Because the cayenne will cauterize damaged blood vessels. Yeah, it will basically burn them, seal them from bleeding to death. So it's a blessing. But here's the thing, it won't burn healthy blood vessels.
Oh.
It will burn damaged blood vessels. Isn't that amazing how God designed that?
Cool.
I think that's absolutely incredible. And it's very good for pain as well. Yeah, I think let me see. I want to talk about pain, but maybe this isn't the place to do it. But cayenne Can't stop pain because it interferes with substance P, which is a pain neurotransmitter. Did you have a question, brother?
Yeah, I was wondering about, okay, so powder, the actual cayenne pepper.
Yes.
And then there's
You can get a liquid extract.
a liquid extract.
Yes.
Which, when, and
Which one and how?
yes.
Yeah, so if you want to use the cayenne, you can, I mean, as a food, you could just chop it up in your food or use the powder. But the extract, it's quickly absorbed, so it's more concentrated. So if you're having a heart attack or stroke or hemorrhaging, I would definitely use the extract. Yeah, because it will activate very quickly.
Okay, so would it then make sense to put the extract in things like smoothies and other stuff like that?
I mean, you don't have to use it every day. It's just more for emergency. But I mean, I don't see any harm using a small amount. But I wouldn't use cayenne on an empty stomach. It's too strong.
Agreed.
Like like a powdered drink, for example. You only need a little bit, you know. So don't be careful of spicing your food too richly,
Okay,
where you need a fire hydrant to cool you
Yeah,
down.
no,
I was at a Brethren not so long ago, and they had ghost peppers on the table. I'm like, boy, I'm glad you told me. 1 million heat units, you know. That'll put some pepper in your step, I'm telling you. Chlorella. Okay, this is a seaweed product. This is very good for helping with heavy metal detoxification. So you can use this as well as cilantro. Cilantro and chlorella are the best for heavy metal detoxification. It's very high in chlorophyll. It's very high in certain amino acids, and it helps detoxify. Chlorophyll helps detoxify the blood, by the way. It's very good for deodorizing and just cleansing the blood. For detox, you're gonna need quite a few of them to, you know, to a proper job of chelating with heavy metals. You need to do it for around 3 to 4 weeks. Well, I don't know exactly with the powder. I can tell you with the liquid, it's about 2 mLs. I'm not sure the exact amount with the powder. It might be a teaspoon or so. These are bilberries, which are relatives to the blueberry, and this is very good for your eyes. For cataracts, glaucoma, preventing macular degeneration, these are excellent for your eyes. They're high in vitamin E. They have tannins that can help strengthen the capillary walls, especially of the eyes, so they're not leaking. It's particularly good for hypertension and blood pressure issues, high blood sugar as well. And also it binds with toxins to go at the bowel. It's very good for digestion. It's a very good fiber to help clean the body. If the body needs fiber, it's not just a broom. It actually binds with toxins in the bowel. And so if you don't have, you know, a lot of people are into juices, and I'm not against a juice now and again, but if you don't have the fiber, you're going to end up constipated. And also, the fiber helps those enteric cells that help with digestion. So, you know, there's enteric cells in your small intestine that get replaced every 3 to 5 days, and they require fiber in order to do their job properly. Okay, and so this is why people that are having problems with, you know, they go on long juice fasts, they'll need a probiotic, or they'll need a prebiotic to help build up their intestinal flora again. So don't make the mistake of seeing the fiber as an enemy. God put it there for a reason. Dandelions. You know, the British brought over dandelions on boats like the Mayflower, and they're not just good soil conditioners, they're also high in medicinal properties, and you can eat the whole flower, the leaf, the stem, the root. They're very high in potassium, so if you have edema, you have swelling, or pitted edema, you can help with that with dandelion. It can also lower the blood pressure. It can also help the skin. It can help the liver in detoxifying. Although we learned before, the liver doesn't need an outside agent to detoxify, but it does prevent against free radical formation that leads to more work from the liver detoxifying, and it protects against reactive oxygen species. And another thing about the dandelion is very good for stimulating bile flow and increasing hydrochloric acid, so it's very good for digestion. You remember when God brought his people out of Egypt, he gave them bitter herbs. You remember the last night? Now, if you're eating a lamb at midnight, which is high in protein, you're going to need good digestion. If you're going to be running 200 miles across the desert, you're going to need very good digestion. So bitter herbs help with that. And so taking the bitter herbs with the lamb actually increased the hydrochloric acid, broke down that protein, and enabled them to have good digestion on their trip through the wilderness. Dandelion also is very good as a blood purifier. It's very good for the skin and the kidneys, and usually anything that's good for the liver is also good for the kidneys. It's also good for the bladder, and it's very helpful to the eyes because it's high in vitamin A. It's also high in vitamin C, and it's high in vitamin E. So it's very high in antioxidants. So anything for the GI, it's generally speaking pretty good for. This is echinacea. There's different types of echinacea. You have echinacea angustifolia, echinacea purpurea, you have echinacea pallida. You want to take the angustifolia and the purpurea. These are excellent echinaceas to take, and they're high in immune-enhancing properties, and they help with the stimulation of the white blood cell count and also increase phagocytosis. We have Irish moss here, which is it's got, I think, over 90 different, 92, there we go, 92 different minerals in it. It's becoming quite popular in America right now. It's not something that you need to take every day, but if you're not getting many micro minerals, you may want to consider Irish moss. Very good for the thyroid. It's high in iodine as well. If you're not getting iodine, then you're missing out, because iodine is essential to the body. It's not an option. You need it for brain health. You need it for nerve conduction. You need it for helping rebuild and repair glandular tissue. You need it for digestion. You need it for neurotransmission. You need it for thyroid action. It's used to help power every cell of the body, because it's powering the mitochondria through ATP, which iodine is necessary to help those little cellular engines to do their job properly. So very important. This is calendula or Calendula officinalis or pot marigold. It's the same one. This is very good for the skin. And this is Jamaican dogwood. Jamaican dogwood is very good for pain. And I learned this years ago. I was thinking about coming up with a pain formula, and I came across some information on Jamaican dogwood, and I thought, let me use this, try this out. So I had a friend's wife call me. I was in Michigan at the time. Well, actually, she texted me, and he just had an accident. So he was in the home making some repairs, and he was holding a piece of wood and trying to cut that wood with a circular saw with one hand. And it went straight into his groin. And it severed his scrotum, and it was 1 millimeter away from severing his femoral artery. And so when his wife went home, there was blue tape everywhere, there was blood everywhere, and he was in intense, agonizing pain. They gave him the heaviest painkillers they could, and it wasn't touching it. So I'm thinking, if it were me, I'd want two things at least in case one doesn't work. So I sent him some CBD oil, and I also sent him some Jamaican dogwood. And so I heard back from, I think it was 2 days later, I heard back from him. He said, "Thank you so much for sending that." I think we may have expedited it, maybe overnighted it to him. He said, "I'm off all my medication. The pains, I think he still had a little bit of pain, but it was bearable pain, much bearable pain." And he was able to get back to work a few days later. And so I was really thankful. We used it also for cancer pain. We've used it for debilitating arthritic pain. We used it for neuralgia. We've used it for teeth pain. In fact, just a couple of months ago, or maybe it was two or 3 months ago, I cracked a tooth through some uncooked lasagna. Just cracked my, bless her heart, my little girl made some lasagna. and my tooth just cracked in half. And I thought, oh, no, man, that's bad. So anyway, it got infected. And so I went to the dentist, and I called the dentist, and they couldn't see me for 2 weeks. And so they said, "Take painkillers till you see us." So I'd have to be at death's door to even think about taking a painkiller, but I took my own medicine and I got that Jamaican dogwood as an extract. It was mixed with devil's claw and some turmeric root and a little bit of cayenne, and I put it right on the nerve because the nerve was a little bit exposed, and as soon as it went on, the pain went away. And I thought, now the pain did come back later, and I kept using it, and I kept using it. The longer I used it, the less I needed of it. And I don't know how I would have survived. It was a sort of pain that would keep you up all night if you didn't do something about it. It was that, if you ever get that nerve pain, that shooting nerve pain. And I thought, I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't got this available. But that kept me for 2 weeks until I could see the dentist, and even when he put a crown on, there was still some pain there, so I still used it. But we've had so good results with this for pain. Pain's very debilitating, right? I mean, the problem is when you're on pain medication, people don't realize this. Pain medication does not decrease your pain. What it does is increases your toleration to pain. And that means when it wears off, you have to have a stronger and stronger amount. And so it's the road to Jericho. And I learned this from a pain doctor. He said, if at all possible, don't start with any painkillers, because it will lead to stronger and stronger medication. And the thing about herbs is that they donate. They don't take away. They're not robbing the body. They're giving back to the body. That's why it says in Psalm 104:14, it says that God gave the herb for the service of man. The word service means ministry. So they minister by giving, right? It's just like in the world, there's takers and there's givers, right? It's the same with the medicines. Modern medicine takes, but God's medicine gives, and that's how it's representative of Christ. Okay, does anyone know what this is? Okay, this is lungwort. I think this is lungwort. Yeah, and this is very close. Okay, so let me go back here. Lungwort. Anyone heard of lungwort? Pulmonary officinalis. You've heard of it? Okay, this is very good for damaged lung tissue. I've seen people's lungs. Now, lungs do not repair themselves, right? But I've seen people's lungs being repaired after taking lungwort. To me, it's like comfrey for the lungs. And it's a bronchial dilator, and it helps stimulate the little cilia that basically take the debris up to the lungs. We've had people on death's door, like with COVID, for example, and they can't breathe properly. They're going to be intubated and take lungwort, and it's really helped them to recover. So I could tell many stories about this lungwort. But it's proved itself over and over again. This is comfrey, and comfrey used topically is an excellent plant to use for injuries, for sprains, for damaged tissue. Now I'm going to show you a slide next. If you're a little wheezy or you don't like looking at open wounds and stuff like that, you may want to turn away, because I'm going to show you an open wound here that was used comfrey. Okay, so the one on the left, this leg on the left, this is from a diabetic type 2 individual from California. He texted me, he sent this to me, and I was very concerned about him because I thought it could become septicemia. So I told him, to clean the wound every day, and I told him about using comfrey. So he used comfrey, and this is the same leg on the right a few weeks later. So you can see it's not completely healed, but it's getting there. And I'm sorry I didn't have another follow-up picture on that, but that shows you the power that God put in the plants to help bring relief. That was comfrey, yes. This is feverfew. This is very good for headaches, migraines, and fevers. Calendula again, or pot marigold. This is excellent for the skin if you want to help heal the skin. If you've got inflamed skin, you've got fungal infection, you've got, we've used this for eczema, psoriasis. We've used this for shingles. In fact, on contact, the shingles pain went away. It's just amazing. We've used this for burns and anything that's damaging the skin. The only thing I haven't seen this work for is cellulitis from a staph infection. And I think that was because it's hard to penetrate through the skin when you have a lot of this connective tissue being made. Yes, sir.
What was that previous
one? Oh, that was feverfew. Elderberry, good for colds, flu, upper respiratory tract infections. It's good for viruses, basically. So this is one. When COVID went around, elderberry was demonized, which was amazing it wasn't, I guess, that amazing as far as it was consistent with the narrative, but elderberry was used for every major flu pandemic in modern history as the most effective antiviral, except COVID. And they pulled out this study that was done in 2001, I believe it was, saying, and they said it caused a cytokine storm. And when you read the study, which I did, it never said that. It said it created cytokines, which is very different than cytokine storm, because cytokines are basically chemical message. Anytime you have an infection, you have cytokines, and these are chemicals that notify the white blood cells, hey, come up here, I've got some trouble, come and help. And so you want that to happen. You need cytokines, but it doesn't create a cytokine storm. So it was basically a misinformation demonization campaign on elderberry. And when I knew this was coming, I bought a ton of elderberry, and it went up from $11 a pound to $11 an ounce. It was like, this was expensive stuff. So what I tell people is get it while it's available. Don't wait till you need it, because when everyone else needs it, guess what? You're not going to be able to get it. So, and this is Vitex or chaseberry. This is the one my wife took for fertility, and it's very good for PMS, hormonal regulation. This is good for men. This is sal palmetto for prostate, enlarged prostate. Most men over 50 starting to have enlarged prostate, so this is very good to help minimize that. Ginkgo biloba. It's funny. I go and teach at Andrews every year, and on campus there, they have 2 ginkgo trees, and one is outside the theology department, and one is outside the psychology department, and they're none the wiser. God has a sense of humor. But this is very good for memory. So is rosemary on the top right. That's got rosmarinic acid, which is very good to enhance memory. Also bacopa, which is on the bottom left. Ginger is another one that can help with memory, and so is cayenne pepper as well. All right. Just the only problem is people forget to take it. That's the only problem. All right. So this is ginseng. This is good for energy. All right. Very good for energy. I remember I flew back from the Philippines. It was on a buddy pass, and I was knocked off. Don't ever go on a buddy pass, especially when you're overseas. I was trying to save some money. I was knocked off, and I had to stay over airports overnight, and it took me 4 days to get home. And I was completely wasted. Just, you could scrape me off the floor. I was just so wasted, and the Lord impressed me, take my own medicine. So I took ginseng, and literally, not kidding, within 20 minutes, I felt like a new man. My energy was back, and I was just on top of the world again. So ginseng is a very good one for energy production. You may not notice it so much if you're full of energy, but if you're like most people, you need some extra boost, then I certainly recommend it. Here's some herbal books that you may be, interested in. We don't supply them, but these are good resources to use. So is there any questions? Is there any questions people have?
Feverfew.
Oh, yeah, calendula.
Calendula.
Yeah,
Thanks.
calendula, or calendula officinalis. Some people say calendula, some calendula. You say potatoes, tomatoes. What's that? Yes, that's right, yes. The yellow salve you saw. Is there any more questions? Yes, sir, at the back there.
Could you go back to the longwood?
The lungwood? You mean the lungwort?
Yeah, I may not be pronouncing correctly, but
lungwort. Let me see here.
One.
That's it there.
Yeah, and then tell us how to use it, maybe.
Yeah, well, you can make a tea out of this, or you can, best to take as a tea or as an extract. And this is the pulmonary officinalis. There's different types of lungwort. Anytime you hear officinalis, that's like the mother herb. You can't go wrong if you stick with the officinalis. So as a tea or an extract is how I would take that. It's also very good for coughs as well. But the best one I've used for coughs is Gymnema sylvestri. I had a lady one time, she was coughing nonstop for 26 years. She was in Jamaica, and she called me, and I felt like this is probably being triggered by her digestion. She probably has hiatal hernia, and it's triggering a reflex action from the nerves from the stomach to her bronchioles. So I gave her something to help her stomach, and I gave her some Gymnema. I recommend Gymnema. I've never heard a woman praise the Lord as much as this woman. She was so thankful. She said, I couldn't even go to church. Oh dear, was that me? Okay. She said, I couldn't even go to church because people think I have COVID. So it just affected her whole life. I had another gentleman, he couldn't sleep with his wife because she would cough all night. So he would sleep in another room, and she took Gymnema, and it was all fixed. So Gymnema is very good for coughing. But yes, Pastor.
Do you use Gymnema for diabetes as well?
Yes,
Blood sugar?
yes, you can. It's
that
very good
actually
for
helps.
insulin resistance.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that the main one that you would use?
We use it in our sugar formula. We
Okay.
actually use it for that purpose, and we also combine it with the fenugreek and the bitter melon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about chromium?
Chromium, yes. Chromium helps take the sugar into the cell. So we have chromium picolinate that's often used by lifestyle centers for that. So you do need chromium. You can also get chromium naturally from lots of grains, whole grains. So that's another excellent resource to capitalize on. But yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. Now, I'm actually staying with my good friend Jackie, and maybe I could get Jackie is, Jesus says a prophet is not without honor except in his own country, right? You remember that? So let me just share something with you. I'm always wanted elsewhere, but where I am, I'm not wanted so much. And anytime I move, it's the same thing that happens. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you have a jewel here with Jackie, and she has a home. She's opening up for lifestyle guests to come. So Jackie, why don't you come up here? I wasn't planning on this, but she didn't ask me this, but I just want to. Jackie's a good friend of mine, and why don't you share a little bit about why don't you share a little bit about what you can offer people who have health conditions?
I called Lee in January, I think, and I asked him some questions about herbs. I said, Lee, I really want to go into herbs now, because I have been wanting to do this for my whole life.
Yeah.
And he told me, why don't you open a lifestyle center? So.
Oh, it's me.
It was you. I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
So
I don't remember that.
this is why I am in this journey now. I called Pastor Adam one day, and he graciously also gave me a lot of tips and opened up this church for me.
Yeah.
So it's a journey, and the journey is still in progress. So God will reveal His perfect will in His perfect time.
Okay. Now, I'm staying with Jackie, and I said I want to make myself available. I'll probably be leaving towards lunch tomorrow, but if you have any needs, I just want to be available to you if you need anything, if you have any challenges and you want to talk to me. So I'll be Jackie, what's your address again?
It's 250 Thurston, Thurston Drive.
Right. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah,
could you
please
do
so.
that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Let's
so.
say from 9 to 12.
Yeah, so saying I probably have to leave about 11, so
Okay,
9 to 11.
Okay.
If you guys, I want to make myself available if you have a need, and I'll be at Jackie's house. So
welcome.
we're only 10. It's only 10 minutes from here.
Yes, it's 10 minutes, 15.
So.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to say thank you, Jackie. Thank you very much. And thanks everyone for coming out today. I pray it wasn't just entertaining, but it was informative. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I'll stay around for a few more minutes. Yes, brother. Oh, our website is www.american and then herb, Herb, and then shop, shoppe.com. AmericanHerbShop.com. And so if there's...
How much of what you talked about today do you have for sale on the website?
Oh, as far as herbs go, I would say we have most things that we have here on our website.
And is the elderberry reasonably priced?
Yeah. Yes. It's funny. I was at a church one time, and this man comes up to me and he said, "Hi, I'm elderberry." We don't sell those, but we do have the herb, elderberry. But most of what I've been sharing today, there are some herbs I mentioned that we don't have, but most of them we have. So Yeah, if it can be of any help. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Oh, so is it Lyme? Was she?
Yes.
She's got Lyme. Okay. So does she have a cofactor?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, because sometimes the cofactors are worse than the Lyme, and they have very debilitating effects that can be lifelong. So, yeah, so I would say, look, don't give me numbers of people you want me to talk, but you can give them my information, and if they reach out, I'm happy to talk to them. We do have some things for Lyme, but I would need to ask you more questions. Because Lyme affects all different people differently. Some it goes to the joints, for some it affects digestion, for some it affects their brain, the fog, for some it's the adrenals. So there's different symptoms that are manifested, you know, at different Lymes, and so she may have a cofactor. I don't know, but these are questions I need to ask her. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming, everyone. I appreciate you all, and I hope it's been a blessing to you. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Right, thank you very much from all of us here at Fisher's. Right, safe travels going back, and as you said, not only entertaining but very, very educational. All right, be blessed. Let's just